Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I am back. This is my most disappointing books of 2022 video, where I talk about the books I was most disappointed by that I've read in 2022. I have 5 books to talk to you about, really, that I was truly disappointed in. There are 2 special mentions that I will talk about first. I didn't know where to put these. I was thinking about including them in my least phase, but I'm like, that's not right. That feels wrong, especially compared to the other books in my least phase. So, very quickly, I'm going to talk about 2 books that I rated pretty decently, but I just am sad that I didn't enjoy, and that is the key word here. First up is Black Girls Must Die by Jayne Allen. And I listened to the audiobook, which I believe was narrated by Marcella Cox. I say this, I have said this, the title had me putting off reading this because I felt that title. And I felt I might die exhausted if I read this book. And I put off reading it for months. First of all, this cover is gorgeous. I've seen the cover for the second book, gorgeous. I don't know if I'll ever read that. Did I die exhausted? I didn't die, but I was exhausted. The first chapter exhausted me to no end. Like, the relatability was too strong. I'm like, I avoid this shit in my life, in my real life. Why are you putting it on the page and having me read it? That's neither here nor there. In this book, we're following a woman in her late 20s, early 30s, I forget. And she's single. She's had a boyfriend for about a year. She is a journalist, or what do they call those people who work in the newsroom, like on TV, not just like in print. There's a promotion coming up in her job that she's one of the possibles for. Meanwhile, so one day she goes in for a doctor's appointment, and they want to run some tests, and they find out that her fallopian tubes, I think, are not going to be viable for much longer. So if she wants to have a kid, she has to have one ASAP, like within the next year, or freeze her eggs, because otherwise she probably will never have children, from her own body. And then after coming back from that appointment, she's on her way to work. She is pulled over by the cops, has a panic attack. She's trying to figure out how to deal with these situations. And she goes into work and they announce the promotion thing. So this wasn't bad. It wasn't for me. And as much as I knew from the title, I had a feeling. I think I'm more disappointed in myself for not liking it. The other mention I want to go to The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I listened to this audiobook. Sean Taylor Corbett was the narrator who did a wonderful job. Both narrators did great jobs on this. I'm just realizing these are both audiobooks. In this, we're following 4 Indian friends who grew up on a reservation during hunting season, hunt some elk on sacred land that they're not supposed to, and it comes back to haunt them, literally. And this is a horror book. We follow as they are all killed throughout the book. I gave this a 4.5 stars. This was so beautifully written, so just haunting, and like, I am very upset at Stephen Graham Jones for making me like these men and their friends and their families. That is just so rude. I am so bad. I, again, am disappointed in myself for not liking this more. The ending, especially, I was just like, I don't like this. This I read in December, I believe. So I read a lot of horror this year, and this solidified Lashette is not a horror girly. That's what the kids are saying, right? I'm not a horror person. It ain't my thing. Some types I can take, some formats, but not this. Never again. Stephen Graham Jones, you are out of my life. So those are the books that are most disappointed in me in 2022. The books that I'm most disappointed in though. The Company You Keep by Angela Henry. This was kind of blah. I was really looking forward to this. I for Black Aweenathon, I picked this up, and this wound up being the only book that fit any of the prompts that I picked up. But October was a struggle month for reading. But I went online and I was looking for cozy mysteries because I hadn't read one in a while by Black authors with Black characters, and I found Angela Henry's series, and I forgot the name of the series, so I'll put it on the screen here. But this cover is cute. I was like, let's go. I do like cozy mysteries. I've read some in the past. I don't know if I've ever finished a cozy mystery series, but I'm okay with that. Like, it's like you jump in when you feel the need and pick it up as you go, right? They're kind of slice of life with a little bit of genre sprinkled in. So I was with it. This, first off, I was thrown off by the fact that this was set in like the 90s. I did not know that going in. Nothing from the synopsis told me this. And it wasn't explicitly stated, but as I was reading, certain things made me think of like Eric Jerome Dickey and movies that are, black movies, black romance movies in particular, because I think that's mostly what I watch. From the 90s that I love. And like the way their outfits were described and all of that stuff. We didn't have a lot of phone internet usage, which, can happen even now, but still. So towards the latter half of the book, and it was just like we start getting the main character in these dumbass situations. And she has no phone, doesn't even think about a phone, and it's just like, I have no way to contact anyone. And I was just like, so that was weird, and I wasn't expecting it, and it's such an odd time frame to pick because this book was not written in the 90s, so I wasn't ready, and I don't know how I feel about that time frame for a series. Like, I'm still like, will I finish this? Maybe not, because the other thing is the main character. Like, I know this is a thing with cozy mysteries. The whole point is you have nosy people who usually have no background in, investigations or helping people, being nosy and putting their stuff. But for the majority of this book, I think it's Kendra, she didn't do that. She was involved, but not really. And she was trying to be a good friend and, picking up things as people were saying them around her. But then she started going to people's houses, visiting people she don't know, going to places late at night. And I was just like, girl, what are you doing? You have no idea what you're doing. The police already don't like you. So, yeah, I was a little disappointed by that because I feel like the first half with her, the way she was acting made sense. And I was like, yeah, that's right, girl. But then the latter half, I was like, what are you doing? So, disappointed. I didn't rate this super low either. So, it's not bad. I was just like, I wish it was better. The next one is Infinitum by Tim Fielder. I picked this up at random. This is a graphic novel by a Black author. that I randomly came across in the library, and I was like, the cover, the format, it's horizontal rather than vertical, and the artwork just giving is mind blowing. So this is about a king who who was ruling this ancient African kingdom with his wife and doing a really good job. Everything was prosperous. Then they found out they couldn't have kids. So he has a mistress who's this priestess, and he and his wife decide to go and like destroy her whole home and all her disciples' homes and kill them all and steal the baby that he made with her. So she puts a curse on him, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. So he raises his kid, his wife, and it turns out he never ages. And then we see him go from those ancient times to modern times into the future. And I was like, okay, there's not really a plot after that. Like, we see him get involved in various things, various historical events, various Black history uh, movements and uh, things like that, and even in the futuristic times. But that's it. I was like, this is wonderful artwork. There's not much of a story here, and that was disappointing. Fruits Basket by Natsuki Takaya. This I've been hearing so much about, and I was disappointed because this feels like there's not much of a plot either. I read one of those collector's editions, so more than one volume technically. But like if we're just looking at the collector's edition, volume one, but it's thick. And this is about a girl whose mother passes away. She goes to live with her grandfather, but his house needs to be worked on. He goes to stay with other family, but there's no room for her, so she decides, oh, it's fine. And she decides to live in the forest by herself. Lo and behold, that part of the forest is the property of this family, and these two guys find her, and one of those guys is the guy she goes to school with. So they're like, come stay with us until your grandfather's house is fixed. And she does. They have a family secret, which she finds out is it's that they're each one of the Chinese zodiac signs. They have the ability to turn into those animals and whatnot. You might be wondering why is it called Fruits Basket? That's explained in the book, but I'm still waiting for why. Like, what's the purpose? So I understand what Fruits Basket means, but what's its connection to the story? This was cute. I liked seeing the relationships develop and meeting some other than the first two guys. But I was like, what's the point of this? Where are we going with this? It was disappointing. So I love Fruits Basket. And I'm just like, it's okay. The next one is another manga, The King's Beast by Toma. Another series I would probably not be. Well, maybe I might read more from this. I read a regular volume size, a tankobon of this. I wanted romance. This I read digitally, and nobody recommended it. I really like the artwork for the cover, and it's beautiful artwork inside. However, this was a little too tropey for me within one volume. This is kind of like a fantasy slash historical one. We're in a world where the it's like they have some kind of animal side or to them. They're born this way, and with that, there's some manifestation of abilities. So Like, they might have ears or a tail or feathers or whatever, but also some sort of abilities. And the king or the emperor of this world hires some of the best, the strongest, to be the guards of himself and his children. They are like princes and princesses or whatever. Right? So, growing up, we have this little girl. Her brother they test all the kids, regular people's kids, to see if they have this ability, and her brother was found to have that, so he was taken away and she wasn't. So they were separated at a very young age, and then shortly thereafter, she gets word that her brother died. He was killed. Um, and so she has this whole revenge plot to kill the prince that her brother was guarding because he was a little boy, and you know, the prince should have protected him, yada yada yada. So she pretends to be a boy, becomes super powerful or whatever, just so she can be the beast of this guy, this prince or king, whatever. She does, and very quickly the plot just just goes by very fast. Like, I feel like the major plot point was kind of wrapped up in this first volume, and I was like, oh, before the end. But then it's like, okay, so then who did it and who done it after that? But we don't really see much of that. Um, this is a romance, so they're supposed to be attracted to each other, but I'm not feeling it. Also, there's like this big ass gay age gap, it feels, and I'm just like, I'm not feeling that either. I don't know. It wasn't doing it for me, so I was disappointed. Lastly, Heaven Official's Blessing by Volume 2. I started this a while ago, and I was eager to continue now that we have printed volumes. And I messed up because I thought there were going to be 4 volumes for the whole story, but there are going to be 8. So I've read most of this already. And then the part that I hadn't read, which is the start of the second arc, like, what is this? Um, is very short towards the end, but it's like we go back in time, and why did we do that? We don't know, because now I have to read volume 3. I was really annoyed by that fact. You have no idea. Um, so the disappointment really comes from the beginning of arc 2. That's the end of this chunky ass 500 something page volume, because so much had happened in the story for the first arc, and a lot goes on in the story, period. It's not just one plot point. There's a lot. And I had taken a break because I needed a break, and to sort my mind out with what's going on. And then I'm like excited for the next arc, like, how is the story gonna continue? And then it didn't. We went back in the past, and I'm like, for what? It took me a while to get into that. And we follow some characters that we already know, so it was okay. But I was just like, this story is a Chinese danmei translated into English. Um, it's wuxia. I don't remember if wuxia is always historical or not. Somebody, if you know, tell me. But do look up the terms, because like explaining it's gonna be on me right now. However, I will say this: we're following Xiang, who, after living a very good life serving the people as a prince and whatnot, he ascends to heaven to become an official, a heavenly official. There are thousands of them. And this is a good thing, right? now your people can worship you and leave you offerings and things like that, and you still help the people just as a heavenly official. However, he gets kicked out. So he has to live his life roaming around and whatever and try to live a good life as a regular person again. He does so, he ascends to heaven, and he's a heavenly official again. Then he gets kicked out a second time and goes through the process again. Now, this is his third time ascending, and he has a reputation because that has never happened before. Other heavenly officials don't really trust him, they don't think he's gonna be around. You know, it's gossip galore up there in heaven, apparently. And he is sent out on these missions to help people, but he's low rung because he's already proven to not be good at being a heavenly official twice in a row. So, yeah, unfortunately, while doing his missions, he is now attracted to someone who is not a heavenly official. So there's romance in this, and with everything, I'm starting to get the romance. I'm starting to feel the feels. I'm feeling the tug, the like between them, and I love the humor in this because this is so very not American, and I appreciate that. However, this going back in time to Sherlan's when he was a human being and relatively young. I think he's like 21 in this, maybe 19 even. It was interesting to kind of get their backstory, but I was disappointed by the fact that we did that. When I was expecting the next adventure, this was not it. So those are the books that either were disappointed by me or I was disappointed in them. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Particularly, have you ever felt that you disappointed a book? Like, I'm sorry I didn't like you as much. You're really good. But it's me. I'm the problem. Please tell me I'm not alone in this. Uh, guys, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming out. I will have my most surprising books. It's all uphill from here, all positive, right? And my most surprising books of 2022 and my favorite books of 2022 will be coming out next. So hit the notification bell so you know when those videos are coming. Let me know in the comments down below, what was your most disappointing book of 2022? Leave me a sword or knife or whatever sharp thing emoji if you made it this far. Guys, links to everything I talked about in the description down below, as well as links to my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Storygraph, Goodreads. If you'd like to follow me on any of those, there's also a 10% off discount code to my Etsy shop where I make all natural bath and body products for mundane and magical purposes. 10% off discount code. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.